You can come into this room where goodness flows. Fill your cup till it overflows. You will find just what you need to make it through. Love, joy, hope, and healing. Morning tea with goodness. Hey, morning tea with goodness.
Hello, family. This is Olaundra with Old Destiny Productions, and welcome to Morning Tea with Goodness, the place where we share all things goodness that will help you be well spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. So I hope you brought your cup because I definitely got the tea with goodness. Y'all, I am so happy because this month we're celebrating all things love and we're talking about the chapters of love. And today, I'm so honored, y'all. I have such a beautiful guest that's in the room of goodness. We have Miss Shanita Newton. Shanita,
Yes.
how are you, beautiful?
I'm doing well.
Oh, you look beautiful.
Thank you.
And you look so well.
Thank you.
Matter of fact, you look like you a fiance now.
A
Do you
little
see the
bit.
ring, y'all? Do you see the ring?
bit,
A little
you know?
bit. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So how is fiance life? Like, I know we're what, 1 month? Is it not quite 1 month
Not
yet?
quite 1 month yet.
How you feel?
I feel good. I feel blessed and favored, and I'm just grateful.
Like you're in the right place.
Yeah.
I love it. So before we talk about this chapter,
Okay.
this chapter where you are now, this chapter of love, I want us to go back to the chapter of 2019.
Okay.
2019, to be more specific, February the 12th?
Yes.
February the 12th, 2019. That was a day that you lost your husband unexpectedly.
Mm-hmm.
Can you share that moment in time, what that was like? Bernard, you can even talk about who he was as a husband, a friend, a father, all of that.
So it is difficult to really, well, it's not difficult because I have so many attributes that describe Bernard. He was like the perfect, me and my sisters talk about him often, the perfect like blend and balance of just like a gentleman, but you're not gonna push him too far. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like he was a protector, but such a gentle soul, and just kind. He had this thing called the Bernard Bear Hug, where he made you feel like you were the most important person in the world and that you were his best friend. So he had all these people that thought that that he was their best friend because he treated everyone like that. In their own unique way, he was able to really make sure that you felt loved and connected. And we miss him so much. So a funny story was we went to the same high school, but at different times.
Really?
So he graduated in 1996 and I graduated from Davidson in 2002. And so the classmates that were in between the two of us knew both of us, even though we didn't know each other. Yeah. And so we just had so many commonalities that we didn't even know existed until we started putting the pieces together. And he taught me how to be a mom. He taught me how to be a better daughter, how to be a better sister. And I'm so grateful for his presence in my life. That. Yeah. Yeah. So I used to tell him all the time that he helped to heal places in me and pieces of me that I didn't even know were broken. And so I'm so grateful that he became a part of my life. We were only married for 2.5 years, but
2 years.
The impact that he had on me, I'm just grateful for the time we had together.
So when February anniversary is approaching, the unexpected death of your husband, someone that you thought would be here forever. Can you walk us through that?
So let me back up a little bit before that.
Okay.
At the top of the year, we decided that I was going to go into business full time for myself at the top of 2020.
Okay.
So we made a list of things we wanted to get accomplished in a year. in January, and we said that at the top of 2020, that would be my exit from the 9-to-5 into full-time entrepreneurship.
Launching your business.
And so later in January, I was on the road with the Sounds of 𝐂𝐸𝐷, a client / group that I sing with, and their family to me. And I was supposed to be on the road until February 11th. And it just didn't work out for so many reasons. I just need to get back to my regular job. I need to get back to Augusta. And so I came back a week early.
Okay.
And then I had the rest of the tour went on. The rest of the group, they went and did the rest of the cities. I came home and I got to spend that last week with him and our son Harrison together. And 𝐂𝐸𝐷 arrived in Augusta February 11th. I went and met the group, and then I came back home. We had dinner, my husband and I, and the Lord called him home early the next morning. But had I not come home,
had you not come home,
I would not have had that last week with him. And the Lord always shows me how He works everything out for my good, right?
Yeah.
I didn't want to come home. I was actually a little upset that I had to leave early. But I'm so grateful in retrospect because God, He sees everything. He knows what's going to happen, you know.
That's right.
That He made it to where I came home.
Intentional. He's intentional.
He's intentional.
He's intentional.
Nothing is by happenstance with Him.
Happenstance.
Even if it feels like coincidence to us, it was ordained and planned by Him.
That's right. That's
so
right.
I got to spend that last week with Him, and I'm so grateful for it. And it helps to put things in perspective for me, even those challenging moments or the unanticipated, the unplanned, how God uses all of that for our good. And He uses all of that for the path that He's created just for us to walk.
What did grief look like for you, Shanita? What was that process? What were there things that you had to do?
So I would say what grief does look like for me.
Yeah, because I remember talking.
Because
it's a continuing process. It
is. It is not something that you fold up and you put away and you say, well, now I'm done grieving, right? I did a lot of journaling. I journal. I still have a journal. It's funny because I have this thing about collecting journals.
Me
right?
too.
I'll start and then I'll put it down and I'll start a new journal because I found one that I wanted to write in. And so I became consistent and sticking in that one journal.
Yeah.
So I'm able to, I'm grateful to be able to go back and look at the different stages of grief that I've been able to walk through and how my writing has changed and it's kind of evolved along with the process. But it was a lot of journaling, a lot of reading scripture, a lot of praying, a lot of crying, and just allowing myself to not be okay. Yeah. Because even in those moments, to just allow myself to feel God's love and comfort when I feel like I can't press forward. Because it was a lot of that. There was a lot of fog. And there was a lot of, I'm grateful for the support of my family and my village, especially in helping me with Harrison during those early moments. I felt so numb. And
how old was Harrison when Bernard?
He was 18 months. So we celebrated his first birthday in September, and then his dad passed 6 months later or so. But when I tell you my family, my church family, my 𝐂𝐸𝐷 family, just my village, they really stepped up and helped me in ways I didn't even know I needed help. So they made sure that we ate. They checked on us. They helped me take care of Harrison when I couldn't do it. And I'm so grateful for them. So my mom stayed with me for a time period. My grandmother stayed with me for a time period. She cooked for me. She cleaned the house, you know, and they took care of me. But even further than that, thank you. did a lot of gardening. That's when I really started seriously gardening. Because and I'm grateful because even through that, I was able to learn how, even when we think that our crop and the time with those plants has ended, right, that they still produce. So seasons later, seeds that fell from the vegetables that I thought were done, and I discarded the vegetables, right? The seeds from them still produce new vegetables and new plants the following season. And so just how life regenerates itself. And even when it changes form, how it reminded me that Bernard is still with us.
He's still with us, that's right.
Yeah. So I just learned so many lessons through my time gardening. And then, let's see what else I did. I
think you mentioned, you said you had to change your house.
I did.
You did some redecorating in your home.
I did.
Talk about that.
I completely shifted the way our bedroom looked, right? I just needed to change the scenery. I added, we started a memory wall in our house. So we had photos of Bernard and Bernard with Harrison and Z, his big brother. But we also had photos of other family members that have transitioned. And it helped with the process too, because so like photos of my grandfather, my great grandmother that passed within recent years. And so we started that wall and started incorporating a lot more plants and greenery throughout the house.
Yeah.
I became a real plant, like a plant geek, I guess.
You was posting some stuff on Facebook.
Yeah. So I had like 3 areas. I had my house plants that sat in front of the window.
Yeah.
I had like a succulent garden on the front porch of like aloe vera, just different kind of cacti. And then I had the vegetable garden in the back. And so then it could like sweet potatoes and just some of everything. But they just kind of, all of these things just kind of started making their way into my life naturally because there are things I've been exposed to or things I had seen that I wanted to try and just never got around to it. And one of the things that really came into perspective for me was we don't know how much time we have. So the things that we want to do, we should go ahead and start those things because you just don't know what your timeline is. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so first, sis, let me just say thank you. I know I've already said it, and I know it's not easy. I just really thank you for trusting this space to be so transparent and candid with me. I don't take it lightly. I consider it an honor. So just thank you. I really do mean that. Thank you.
I appreciate you having me.
Because you said this is your first time really just openly
sharing.
Well, I know this is going to be a blessing to someone else and a healing balm for someone else. I want to move to the chapter of dating.
Okay.
Dating again. When did you know, or maybe you didn't know, but when did you know that you were emotionally ready? And I know that grieving is a process, but when did you know for yourself that, okay, maybe I can possibly date again?
I'm not sure if there was an exact moment. I would say
before Chris.
Before Chris,
was there a thought? Was there ever a moment, or you still was in that place of I don't know?
Yeah, I was in that place where I don't know.
Okay, okay.
The way Chris and I started dating, my fiancé, shout out.
And let's talk about Mr. Christopher Thompson. Let's talk about that chapter.
Okay.
Since, like you said, you didn't know about the dating, you know, what that looked like for you because you just, you know, you wasn't sure. Let's talk. Thank you. Y'all just drinking goodness.
I like that. I'm about to bottle it up.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Let's talk about the chapter called Mr. Christopher Thompson.
Yes.
Let's talk about that. How did you guys meet?
We met in middle school. So
what?
Yes. So he went to C.T. Walker.
Okay.
They didn't have a jazz band at that. And I went to Morgan Road, who did have a jazz band, but we didn't have a pianist.
Okay.
So it was worked out to where he could come and play for us. And that's originally how we met. But, you know, Augusta's so small.
Yeah.
We always had the same friend circles. And when I graduated, I believe, because it's been such a long span of time, I mean, we were just always been friends. He started playing for 𝐂𝐸𝐻, and then he produced our album, Limitless. And then he started playing at Tabernacle. So I think at the time we needed a new organist, and I recommended Chris for it. Because I think he was still playing out in Waynesboro, or I don't know.
Waynesboro played,
yes. I think he was still there. And so he started playing for Tabernacle. And like I said, we've always been friends. I knew he was a really good musician. I knew that he was passionate and that he was professional.
Wow.
And so he's always been around, and we would hang out, you know. And then even after Bernard passed, we would just, you know, kind of hang out, go to breakfast, go to brunch.
Just friends.
Yeah. And then, a part of my grief process is therapy. And so I would bring Chris up every once in a while in therapy. And my therapist, she asked me a question. She said, well, I mean, you do know that if you want to date again, or if you decided that you wanted to pursue another relationship, and she used Chris as an example, that is okay.
That is okay. Did you feel like you needed permission, like in your mind, like, I don't know, like?
I absolutely did.
You needed permission.
Yeah. And I don't even know if, more so than permission, it felt like a betrayal, really.
Guilty, yeah.
To, I would say, move forward.
Move forward. Yeah.
And so my therapist, whom I trust, kind of helped me to put that in perspective.
Yeah.
To remind me that it is not only okay, but it's important for me to move forward.
To move forward.
I don't like it when people say moving on, because you don't move on from people that you love. You move forward as God empowers you to. You know, I do feel like he will put you in a season of where he puts you in somewhat of a bubble, so that he can heal those parts of you that have been broken.
Yeah.
Because that's what I was. I was broken after losing Bernard. But in time, he empowers you to put one foot in front of the other and to keep moving, right? And so when she essentially called me out on it, I began to...
Almost gave you a green light.
Yeah. I began to just kind of contemplate and think about what that would look like.
Okay.
Especially since I have a son. So I'm not going to bring just anybody around him.
That's right. That's right.
And a part of my role, you know, is to protect him in every aspect. So including the people that I bring into my life.
When did you know that, as you guys were dating, that, wait a minute, I'm starting to feel something that I haven't felt before, haven't felt in a long time? When did it become, I think this is more than just friends for me. I think I could possibly see myself with Chris.
It was probably actually before we started dating, because
wow, talk about it.
One night we were, I think he came over to hang out. We were watching a movie, something goofy, silly on TV. And I heard Harrison cough, and because he had already laid down, I went to check on him. He was wheezing and he had a fever. And at that point, I was still dealing with the trauma of his dad leaving so suddenly, I panicked. I grabbed Harrison up. I put him in his car seat and let Chris tell the story. I was on 2 wheels to get him to the ER, right? I got him to the ER and I get through the door. And as soon as I get through the door, I look back and Chris is right there because he followed us. He followed us to the hospital. He stayed with me while I got him checked in. And he was there. So I was grateful for that. And I think that was when I really started kind of talking about him in my sessions with my therapist. And then fast forward, I knew when he started taking care of my son, the same way I take care of my son. So there was nothing that Harrison could need that Chris wasn't there to help me figure out like what was the best way to get it done. Harrison outgrew his jeans because he tall. Chris was already getting him.
It was already on it.
He knew his shoe size and his pant size better than I did because he was always making sure that whatever Harrison needed, he was there to provide.
Come on, Chris.
I said, I see you.
Okay. Come on, Chris.
All right. What do you need? What can I do for you? And so I was grateful, you know, because one of the things I was really angry with God about was the fact that now I have to raise a black man child by myself. And that's not what I signed up for.
Come on.
So the fact that I now had somebody else in his life Bernard can't be replaced.
That's right.
But someone who could step in as a father figure and accept my son as his own, I was extremely grateful for that.
Was it ever hard for you, knowing that you were grateful for Chris, was it ever hard for you inviting Chris into this sacred space of you and Harrison?
Yes, because it's so important for me to know, for Harrison to know that Bernard is his dad and that Bernard loves him and that he would never leave him. And that even though he's not here with us physically, he is still with us.
Yes.
It's always, I don't know if balance is the right word, but I want to make sure that Harrison knows that his dad, so we call him Daddy Bernard, and we call Chris Daddy Chris.
Okay.
So that he knows that Bernard is still his dad. But now that God has granted us a bonus dad. And I'm grateful that he's able to have the physical presence of Chris in his life.
That's good. Have you ever, has there ever been any level of comparison between the two?
You mean from Harrison's standpoint?
No, from Chris and Bernard, as far as the love that you know, like you said, the love was beautiful. Did you ever find yourself like comparing?
So I am very careful and very intentional of not comparing the two relationships because they are very different.
Yeah,
they are two different men, and I'm grateful to have experienced two incredible loves, right? And I don't think it's fair to compare what I had with Bernard to what I had with Chris. That's right. And vice versa. Because Bernard and I were in a different place in life than Chris and I are now in, right? So the types of relationships that you have with one partner versus another would just naturally be different. Yeah. And so I don't want to diminish what I had with Bernard, and I don't want to diminish what I had with Chris because they're two different things.
Two different places, two different people.
Yeah.
We talked about this maybe sometime last week. I can't remember, because I too believe in protecting the relationship that you're in. And I asked you a question, and I said, we may bring it up. Did you guys date in private? Or was it in secret? Because I do believe that when you're dating, that space should be kept until you're ready. Because sometimes you can't allow everyone else's opinions, their stamp of approval, but keep that between you guys until the time is right so you guys can mature and grow together. What was it like for you? Was it dating privately or was it secret?
I would say it's dating privately. For the reason you just said. I think a lot of, we have to be careful to not need validation from other people.
That's right. That's right.
For what you have. And especially because for me, since I've been married before, and I'm still working through the grief of losing my husband, I will say that I wrestled with the loss and loving, right, at the same time. And so coming to a place where I accepted and knew in my heart that it was okay for me to both grieve the loss of Bernard and love Chris in the same space, right? I think people try to make it an either or. Like either you grieving or you move forward with your life. And that's not a thing. It's okay for them to coexist. And so for me, that privacy allowed me the time to work through those conflicting, what we perceive to be conflicting pieces of my heart. And so, and we all face challenges in this life. You know, and it's not my story to tell, but I know that, you know, Chris and I both come from, we both have lives before we connected to each other. And so that just allowed us to have the space for it to just be us without any kind of outside input.
So let's pause there because, you know, now we live in a world where everything is on social media. Your whole life is on social media.
If you allow it to be.
If you allow it to be. Let's talk about that. What are your thoughts on displaying everything about your relationship on social media, and how has that been with you guys? I remember the first time I saw you guys, well, I think it was you. I think you posted a picture, and it wasn't your engagement picture. I think it was just a picture, maybe Father's Day. It was a special something. I was like, oh my God, look at my sis. I used to remember Chris used to always say, well, you know, I gotta make a call. We'll be in the studio recording some music. Did not know it was you all this time. So let's talk about social media.
Well, I do post a lot more than him. So,
okay.
Just in general, I definitely use it as a tool for my business, but also for a while, me and Facebook was like real thick. So, and he's not that way.
He's never been social media type, the post.
Yeah. So, you know, I'll pop in, you know, let people know, you know, he's still mine. But also, I just like to, I post things that aren't personal because I don't feel like everybody needs to know your every thought.
That's right. There's some pieces of you that are sacred, and I'm not going to display all of that.
And when you start sharing all of you, then people expect you to continue sharing all of you. So you shared every aspect of your relationship, but now y'all done broke up. What happened, sis?
What happened?
You've been sharing everything else. You know, and while it shouldn't necessarily be that way, when you start that, people expect you to share all of it.
That's right.
Even when it's not their business.
That's right.
And so, and that's something that I really learned in this relationship with Chris. Just, you know, he challenges me in so many good ways, and and changes and helps my perspective to evolve and grow about different things.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I really appreciate about him. So
let's talk about that involving and growing, because there's a phrase that I use that God gave me, especially dealing with different traumatic events in my life. And he told me, Olaundra, you're healed and you're healing. You healed.
That's good.
And you're healing. So I hold on to that because that's what I choose to see myself. I'm healed, but yet I'm still healing. So I say that to ask you this. Was Chris, did he play a part of your healing?
Oh, certainly.
Go in depth.
He pours into me and loves me in ways that are gentle, but also, if you know Chris, you know that he's also going to give you some tough love, right? But he covers me and he covers Harrison, and I'm so grateful for that. But also, he challenges me in a lot of ways to be better. And so he helps me to heal, because not even necessarily by anything he does in particular, but because he loves me even when I'm not my best, without the makeup, when I'm having a rough day, when I feel like I dropped the ball. He picks it up for me, and he reminds me that A, I'm human, and B, that I'm not by myself in this. And just his presence and his love, the same way God loves us, when not that I'm comparing him to the love of God, but the same way God loves us, because no one's perfect, but God loves us anyways. He reminds us, I feel like God reminds us of how he loves us through each other, right? And he uses all of us as his hands and feet.
That's right.
And Chris definitely has played a part in my healing in that sense.
What do you love about Chris the most? I know he's played such an important part in your life, but if you had just narrowed it down, what do you love about him the most? That you've given him your heart, and now you guys are, getting ready to prepare for marriage.
I think I love how he is steadfast and he moves according to what he feels is the best. Like, he's not pressured or swayed by what anybody else has going on or what anyone has to say. How he feels convicted in his heart, that's how he moves accordingly. And he is straightforward with it. He isn't one to, if he feels a certain way, he is able to communicate that in a way that's not rude. It might cut you, but it's because it's the truth and not because he's nasty or mean about it. He is, he moves in his own timing. And he's not pressured any other way. And I love that about him.
How have you grown as a woman since you and Chris have been together?
For the exact same reason I just stated. I don't like conflict, right? And as much as I have to deal with conflict, it still is not the most enjoyable thing for me, as I can assume with a lot of other people. But the way he handles conflict is so encouraging to me, and it's such a great example that I'm able to follow. And just his covering of me and Harrison It helps me. It helps me in when I'm in conflict with Harrison. So because he's 7 and he's a boy, and sometimes I feel like I don't know exactly what to do. For Chris for this to be his first role at parenting, he does a really amazing job with Harrison, and he exemplifies for me just ways that I can sometimes better handle situations with Harrison, because he's always so calm and cool, and he reminds me, he was like, yeah, but you know, we the adults, so and I appreciate that. So it really does help me in my parenting style with Harrison. I think I'm so grateful to have the example that Chris sets, but even going back to Bernard, his parenting style is vastly different from how I thought that I would parent, because I'd never been a parent yet. And until we reach a level in our parenthood journey, we kind of parent the way our parents would, or what we've learned, or what we've seen and experienced, until, you know, we experience something different or see something different. And so I'm grateful to be able to have just different vantage points when it comes to, because especially since Harrison's a little boy.
How old is Harrison now?
He's 7.
He's 7.
Going on 27. Girl.
Going on 27. Okay.
But I am grateful to have had examples from 2 upstanding men that are very close to Harrison. You know, my dad's there. He does a great job. Harrison's grandfather's there. Does a great job. I'm grateful for the men in my life in general. But in particular, Bernard and Chris, I'm grateful.
Introducing Chris to, I guess, Harrison's side of the family. How was that? You know, I'm sure, what were their thoughts? Or did they have us good? Yes. Y'all should drinking that goodness. What was that? How was that like?
I thought that it would be more awkward than it was.
Were you nervous, Shanita?
Yes, absolutely. Because as I go back to what I said earlier about just wrestling with that sense of guilt associated with moving forward. Yeah. It was initially difficult for me to bring the 2 parts of my life together, right? And it's funny because I was talking to one of Bernard's sisters. She said, girl, go ahead and rip that Band-Aid off so that people can get on with it, because you need to live your life. It is what it is. And she said, my brother's not coming back. He don't want you to live alone the rest of your life. And I so appreciate her words, but also it's funny because Chris had already met Bernard's dad. Chris helped us move one time. Like I said, we've always been friends.
Same circle.
So when we moved into a home that we were renting before we bought a home, Bernard and I, Chris helped us. It was Chris, Bernard's dad, and my dad, because I was at work. They moved all of our stuff.
Wow.
Because he's my friend. I was like, I got somebody I can call. I'll be at work, but baby, I got somebody that'll help us move. My homeboy Chris.
God has a funny way.
Yes, he does.
He's always been there.
Yeah. So he had already met Bernard's dad. And then because Chris covers and takes care of Harrison the same way he takes care of me, Harrison was taking T-ball. That was so funny. It was so cute to watch. But he started T-ball, and I had given Bernard's parents a schedule, and so all of us were there together. Because Chris was there. Chris is going to be at the games if he's in town. Harrison's 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th birthday, Chris planned it. made sure, we had a spot, took care of the spot. And so whenever we have something, and that was his introduction really to Bernard's parents. Yeah. And then in Bernard's parents to Chris's mom. Mm-hmm. So everyone's met, and I'm grateful. And just working through, so I guess just working through like the different stages. I called Bernard's mom once Chris and I got engaged because I wanted to make sure she heard it from me. Wow. Because I love her. Yeah. And I wouldn't want her to find that out any other way. Yeah. Because Bernard's family is to my family.
That's right. And are they here in Augusta? Yeah. Everyone is here in Augusta.
Well, his parents are right in North Augusta.
Okay.
And his sisters are in like South Carolina, North Carolina.
Okay. So, but they're in reach. Yeah. Everyone is in reach.
Yeah.
So you guys dated for how long again before the engagement?
Chris and I dated for 4 years.
Okay, Shanita. So let's talk about it. What was the 4 years like? Were you like, okay, brother, now we're going on year 3, what you doing? Let's talk about it. Were you getting impatient or were you patient? Okay, yeah, he gonna do it.
Well, one thing that Chris has taught me is patience.
Okay, okay.
Because, and my brother will tell you, Trey, he says, yeah, girl, but you always moving real fast in life. So you need to slow down.
Slow it down. Okay, brother. Trey.
And like I said, Chris is gonna move according to how he want to move.
How he wants to move.
He's not gonna allow anything or anyone, i.e. me, sway him or pressure him when it's not his plan, right?
Okay.
And I appreciate that about him because sometimes I'll move too fast and I'm like, I thought we said we was gonna talk before you went and bought that expensive camera. I was like, I know, but I thought you said it was a go. So, and I would really consider that wise counsel, just his ability to sit back and let things happen organically and move according to a pace, right? Because really he wanted to purchase a home first. So,
and congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
It was a big year.
Yes. So. Purchase a home, engagement.
All within the same month. So when we got the house, I said, okay, well, he's probably not going to propose this year because we just got a whole house. And I'm good with that. I'm good. I'm grateful. And that's a real big Christmas gift. I'll take it.
Somebody was making plans.
Yes. Marking off his list.
Yeah. Making plans.
And so, but he proposed on Christmas morning.
What?
Yes.
Were you surprised? Did you know? You were completely surprised.
Yes. To the point where I didn't know what to say when he was proposing. I said, so we got up Christmas morning. I was making breakfast. Harrison's ready to open gifts. Apparently he hid the ring close to the Christmas tree.
Okay.
Which was by like our internet modem for the television. And then he said, there's something wrong with the internet. But I'm looking at the television. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with the internet. The TV's working. But he just kind of never got up off the floor. And I was like, well, what are you doing down there? I told you the internet's fine. It's because he was opening up the ring so he could propose.
And now here we are.
I'm standing there with my mouth open. And Harrison's like, so what are we doing, guys? Because I got these gifts to open up.
Come on, Chris. Come on, Chris.
And again, he did good.
Y'all see this ring, right? Brother did good.
He did good.
He did good. Because sister over here smiling and glowing and all of that.
I said, what you want to eat? I got you. What?
I got you.
So,
Shanita, if you could speak, and I love your transparency. If you could speak to her, maybe that woman that may have experienced, grief, losing a husband unexpectedly, and now she's in this place where I don't know if I can love again. Is it okay to love again, I don't know, I feel kind of guilty. What would you say? What encouraging words would you say to her? You can look into the camera.
Okay. There's so many things I could say to you, to myself. Things I wish that I knew going into this journey, but you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know until you experience, right? But know that, the journey that God has prepared for you and that you are walking, while it is hurtful and you will feel broken, but God will take those pieces and He will use it for your good, which you should not feel guilty about. But also, He'll use those pieces to give Him glory and to fulfill the purpose that He has for you. I'll say that first. Secondly, it is okay for you to love again. That God is love. And He wants so much for us to feel that. And it's on no one else's timeline but yours. You grieve how you need to. And you love when you are ready. But start with yourself, because it's so important to love yourself through this process. If you are not careful, you will self-destruct because your pieces are already broken. It's important to love yourself. And again, according to your timeline, allow yourself to love someone else again.
Ooh.
God will, according to His plan for you, bring that person into your life. And if that is not the person, it is also okay for you to walk away. And these are all things that I've had to tell myself. And it's okay to love while you're still in the midst of your grieving.
Say it again, Shanita.
One of the things I remember from Bernard's homegoing was when I walked in, first of all, I decided this is not really happening. It was surreal. And when I got to the end of that row, as I walked down that aisle, and my friends and loved ones were singing in the choir stand, all I could do was worship to keep myself from completely falling apart in front of all those people. And I didn't care about those people being there. I just didn't want to fall apart. And my pastor said something that stayed with me that was so profound, was it's okay to weep and worship at the same time.
That's right. Amen.
And in that same way, I will tell you, it is okay to deal with your loss and love simultaneously. They can coexist. Grief and love can coexist. In fact, grief is the price that we pay for love. Because at some point, the people that you love and that have made an impact in your life, they won't be here anymore. And so grief is inevitable, but it is okay for them to coexist.
As you were speaking, I heard three things. One, no matter what you go through, nothing is wasted.
Nothing.
Nothing is wasted.
Absolutely nothing is wasted.
God can use every piece of your chapter, and then it goes into all things will work together for the good of those who love the Lord according to His purpose. So everything that you have experienced in life, all of that has and is still working for Shanita.
But it's important to not feel shame in that.
Not feel shame in it.
Because that's also something I had to work through.
That's right.
Just the shame attached to me using that scripture in reference to losing my husband.
That's right.
But God takes all of those
because
pieces.
the good, He wasn't saying that everything was going to be perfect. You're going to have some crying days, some good days, some bad days, some mourning days.
Yeah.
All that is still going to work together for your good.
Mm-hmm.
Lastly, as you were talking, I heard, Shanita, you need to write the book, baby. Y'all, this is a book all day. And this is definitely a book that's gonna, I just feel like your story is gonna bless millions. And they need to hear it. They need to hear it. Lastly, before we end, I have a question for you. You know, as you have experienced chapters of love, it's been many chapters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Many chapters relating to love. What would you, how old are you, Shanita?
I'll be 41 on the 26th of January. Yeah.
Happy birthday!
Thank you.
That's right, and Chris is?
The
right.
31st.
Okay, January babies.
Mm-hmm.
You said 40. What would you, 40-year-old Shanita Newton, say to the younger version of Shanita before life, before marriage, divorce, grief? Now God has blessed you with your now future husband. What would you say to her regarding love?
Girl, love yourself. I would tell me to love myself.
Come on.
That
it's a beautiful thing.
People who are not supposed to be in your life will show themselves.
That's right.
And that you need to move accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
And that your plan needs to just be what God will have you to do. And that it's okay to have goals.
But His ways, His thoughts.
Mm-hmm. and that ultimately that's what you would want for your life. For His plans to be manifested.
Yeah.
And to not write your stuff down in ink.
Oh, that's good.
Because I had this whole plan laid out for my life.
Yeah.
And while again, none of those parts were wasted, just to be flexible and open-minded and open-hearted for God to show you your path.
Flexible and open-minded.
And to love for me to love me.
And to love you, to love yourself.
And not worry about anybody else loving me but me.
Love you.
Because the people that are supposed to be there will be.
Shanita, girl, you got blessed me on today. I thought I was prepared, but I don't know. I'm so full right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, I remember when I called you and God showed me your face in prayer. I said, Lord, I don't know, there's something that's missing. And I saw your face and I didn't know how to approach the conversation. I was like, I'm just going to ask. And so I consider it an honor for you to be in this room with me on today, sharing your story, your experience, tragic loss, what that was, what it looked like for you, what grief looked like for you, and now embarking upon marrying again. I consider to honor my sister, and I just want to say thank you. I really do. I thank you because I'm sure this conversation wasn't that easy, and just for you to agree just to share pieces of those seasons, I'm thankful. And it's my prayer that everyone that hears this message, that they too can experience God's healing, whatever that looks like, and know that love can happen again.
Thank you so much.
Is there anything else you want to say or add?
I am so grateful for, I keep going back to this theme of nothing is wasted, right?
Yeah.
Because even in this journey, I've learned compassion in such a different way.
Yes.
Gratefulness. That, I would say that was my word in 2019, 2020, 21. That's gratefulness. Just nothing that we experience in this life is wasted.
Nothing. He can all use it.
He uses it all if you just give it to him, broken pieces and all. And you don't have to package it up pretty. You don't have to make it seem like you have it all together. Because who has it all together all the time? And God doesn't use perfect people. Ain't nobody perfect. But if you just give him your broken pieces, he can use them to create something beautiful that will impact the world, that will give him glory, that can change your life. Don't hold on to it. It just becomes bitterness.
I'm sitting in, that's good, Shanita. That's so good. Thank you. I appreciate you. I don't know, all I have is thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Always. I want you to come back.
Okay.
I want you to come back. Well, y'all, family, I am full and my cup has definitely been filled on today with goodness. I pray that this message today has encouraged you in some way. And I pray that it has added goodness to your day. And if it has, if your cup was filled the way my cup was filled, I want you to share this message with someone so they too can experience morning tea with goodness, his goodness that will help you be well spiritually, mentally, physically, and emotionally. Fam, I'll see you next time on another episode of Morning Tea with Goodness.